it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I'm glad to be back with you, and I'm going to continue reading in the book, If Life is a Bowl of Cherries, What Am I Doing in the Pits? By Irma Bombeck. So we're on the second chapter, The Mother Mystique. An 11-year-old girl once wrote, Mrs. Bombeck, I do not understand mothers. How come my mom can hit anyone, anywhere in the house, at any distance with a shoe? How can she tell without turning her head in the car that I'm making faces at my brother in the back seat? How could she be watching television in the living room and know I'm sneaking cookies in the kitchen? Some of my friends also don't understand moms. They want to know how she can tell just by looking at them that they had a hot dog and 3 Cokes before they came home from school for dinner. Or where they're going to lose their sweater that they hate. We think it's spooky the way the phone rings, and before we even pick it up, she says, 5 minutes. We all agree no one in the world has supervision, super hearing, or can smell quite like a mother. One guy said he had a piece of bubble gum once wrapped in foil in his shoe, and his mom said, let's have that gum. You want to tear your retainer out? And since you write about kids all the time, we thought you could explain moms to us. Sincerely, Kathy. Dear Kathy and friends, I found your letter most amusing. You make motherhood sound like Jean Dixon on a good day. Sit up, dear, and don't hold this book so close to your face you'll ruin your eyes. Actually, there's no mystique at all to being a mother. We all started out as normal, average little children like yourself, who grew up and developed the usual X-ray vision, 2 eyes in the back of our head, bionic hearing, and olfactory senses that are sharpened by wet gym shoes. Don't ask what olfactory is. Look it up in the dictionary. Mothers have never considered any of these senses to be a bonus. We call them instincts for survival. Without them, we would be mortal and vulnerable. Don't make such a face. It'll freeze that way, and then where will you be? Someday, when your motherhood gene develops, you too will know when someone is in the refrigerator, even if you're at a PTA meeting. You will know shoes are wet and muddy when you can't even find them. You'll sense your child is lying to you even while clutching a Bible in one hand, a rosary in the other, and standing under the picture of Billy Graham. Mothers are just normal people, really. We don't pretend to be perfect or to have all the answers to child rearing. Why, throughout the years, there are a lot of aspects of children for which I profess complete ignorance. For example, who is, I don't know. Ever since I can remember, our home has harbored a 4th child. I don't know. Everyone sees him but me. All I know is he's rotten. Who left the front door open? I don't know. Who let the soap melt down the drain? I don't know. Who ate the banana I was saving for a cake? I don't know. Frankly, I don't know is driving me nuts. He's lost 2 umbrellas, 4 pairs of boots, a bicycle. He has 13 books overdue from the library, hasn't brought home a paper from school in 3 years, and once left a thermos of milk in the car for 3 weeks. The other day, the phone rang. I ran for the mailbox, cut my leg, tore off my fingernail in the door, and got to the phone in time to see my son hanging up. Who was it? I asked breathlessly. I don't know. He hung up. When I told my neighbor about it, she said, cheer up. I've had an invisible child for years. What's his name? Nobody. Is he rotten? He makes Dennis the Menace look like a statue. He cracked the top of an heirloom candy dish, tears up the paper before anyone gets to read it, and once when I was driving the carpool, He nearly knocked me senseless with a ball bat. Ha, I said bitterly. You should have seen, I don't know. He left 13 lights burning the other night when he went out. I don't know how much longer I can stand it. This morning at breakfast, I said to my husband, "Who wants liver for dinner this evening?" He looked up and said, "I don't care." That can only mean one thing. I don't know, has a brother. At what age is a child capable of dressing himself? Some say when a child can reach the dirty clothes hamper without falling in, he's ready to assume the responsibility for what he wears. A child develops individuality long before he develops taste. I've seen my kids struggle into the kitchen in the morning with outfits that need only one accessory, an empty gin bottle. There's always one child in the family who thrives on insecurities and must have her emotional temperature taken every 5 minutes. I call it the parade of the closet. Beginning at 7 a.m., she will appear at breakfast fully clothed and ready for school. Before the cereal has stopped exploding in the bowl, she has disappeared into a room and comes back in another complete outfit. 4 words from her mother: "You look nice today." And she's off again to her bedroom in tears for still another complete change. She plays the same musical clothes until she runs out of clothes. The bus leaves. Her mother is institutionalized, whichever comes first. There's always the kid who has an aversion to clean clothes. He's allergic to creases in trousers, socks that have soft toes, underwear that is folded, and sweaters you can sniff without passing out. He's a child who always applauds the ring around the collar commercial. The opposite is the youngster who neither desires what's in his closet nor what is dirty. In the dirty hamper, He wants what has to be ironed. I've always said if I had nothing in my ironing bag but a diaper, that kid would wear it on the top of his hat and go to school dressed as New Year. Last year, we allowed our children to pack their own suitcases for our vacation. One wore a baseball cap and a pair of brown corduroys for an entire week. We told everyone he had brain surgery. Another one brought a coat, an old army jacket belonging to his father. He looked like a deserter from the other side. The other one packed one pair of shoes, a red, white, and blue pair of sneakers with stars. The only time he didn't look out of place was under a basket in the Coliseum. Last week, all 3 of my children looked worse than usual as they headed for the door. "Why do all of you look so rotten today?" I asked. "Are you in a school play or something?" "No, we're having our class pictures taken." That figures. Haven't I always loved what's his name best? A woman starts thinking of a name for her baby from the minute she knows she's carrying one. She will write it out, say it out loud, try it on her friends, and embroider it on little shirts. Boy, my nose itches tonight. When the baby is born, she will whisper the name softly in its ear, write it on dozens of announcements, and file it in the courthouse records. A few years and a few kids later, she can't remember who you are. I've heard mothers go through 10, 12 names before they get lucky and hit the right one. Once I wore my PJs wrong side out, and my mom, thinking it was a name tag, called me Dr. Denton for a whole week. Children seem to think there's something in the entire exercise. If my mother really loved me, she'd remember my name, Trauma. This is hogwash. I love Mark, Mary, Mike, Mill, Massa. What's his name with the same affection as I love? Bet, Bronk, Evely, Mar, Try. You know who you are. Our neighborhood psychiatrist bears me out. He says there's nothing you can generalize from mothers who can't put name on their children right off the bat. It used to be a good day for me when I could remember what I called them for, let alone remember who they were. In talking with a young married the other day, it was revealed that he was one of 7 children. And not once when he was growing up was he ever called by his real name. I guess it was because there were so many of us, he said, that it confused my mother. I hate to shoot his theory down, but for a long while I was the only child and still got Sarah, Bet, Meld, Ver, Vida. Finally, in desperation, my mother would shout, "How long do I have to call you before you answer?" I'd yell back, "Till you get it right." Was I close? She shouted. Edna was somewhere in the neighborhood. I always liked Edna, she mused. I should have named you that. Then why did you name me Irma? Because it's easy to remember. Why can't we have our own apartment? We knew the kids would take the wrong way, but we had to do it anyway. Children, we said, your father and I want to get our own apartment. One looked up from his homework, and the other 2 even turned down the volume on the TV set. What are you saying? We're saying we'd like to move out and be on our own for a while. But why? Asked our daughter. Aren't you happy here? You have your own room and the rent of the house? I know, but a lot of parents our age are striking out on their own. It'll be expensive, our son said. Have you thought about utilities and phone bills and newspapers and 100 little things you take for granted around here? We've thought it all through. Spit it out, said our daughter. What's bothering you about living with us? Did we ask too much? What did we ask you to do? Only cook, make beds, do laundry, take care of the yard, keep the cars in running order, and bring in the money. Was that so hard? It's not that, I said gently. It's just that we want to fix up our own apartment and come and go as we please. If it's your car you wanted, why didn't you say so? We could make arrangements. It's not just the car. We want to be able to play our stereos when we want to come in late without anyone saying, "Where have you been?" And invite people over without other people hanging around eating our chip dip. What will you do for furniture? We don't need all that much. We'll just take a few small appliances, some linens, our bedroom suite, the typewriter, the luggage, the card table, the chairs, the old TV you never use, and some pots and pans and a few tables and chairs. You'll call every day? We nodded. As we headed for the car, I heard one son whisper sadly, "Wait till they get their first utility bill. They'll be back." Is there a life after mine? No one knows what our life expectancy is, but I have a horror of leaving this world and not having anyone in the entire family know how to replace the toilet tissue spindle. It's an awesome thought to have 4 grown people wandering around in a daze saying, "I thought she told you how," and another saying, "If I knew she was sick, I would have paid more attention." The tissue spindle isn't the only home skill that has been mastered by no one at our house. Consequently, I've put together a single family survival manual for when Mom is gone. 1. Replacing the toilet tissue spindle. Grasp old spindle and gently push to one side where there's spring action. The spindle will release and you discard the old cardboard. Slip on a new roll and insert one end of the spindle into the spring action side and listen for a click in place. Washing toothpaste off the wash basin. That's number 2. Before toothpaste is allowed to harden, become a permanent part of the enamel, swish water from the faucet over the affected area and give a gentle nudge with washcloth or hands. Sink will be ready for next slowbie. Number 3, turning on the stove. Hot meals require a hot stove. If the stove is gas, ignite by turning dial or handle while holding match over burner. If stove is electric, take forefinger and push firmly on the button of the desired heat. Caution, do not put food directly on the burner, but put it in a pan first. Closing a door. Number 4. This looks harder than it is. When a door is ajar, make sure it is free of foreign objects. Example, children, feet, packages. Then grasp it firmly by the handle and give it a little push until you hear it click. Slamming the door will not make it close any firmer than a push. 5. Turning off a light. The same principle is used in turning off a light as turning it on. If it is the wall switch, you flick the switch up or down until you no longer see light. If it is a chain mechanism, you compress chain between your thumb and forefinger and give it a tug. The light will extinguish. Operating a clothes hamper. Don't be intimidated because there are no dials or instructions on the lid. Bending from the waist, simply pick up a sock, a pair of pants, or a towel, lift the lid of the hamper, and feed soiled clothes into it. The good fairy will take it from there. Keep this manual handy for easy reference. If I had to take these skills with me when I go, I'm not going. Why can't our average little family get their own TV series? The other night I was watching a situation comedy series, typical American Family, that is. This family laughed until they got sick. Every time Daddy opened his mouth, he was a scream. The mother was a stitch, and the kids were absolute geniuses at spewing out hilarious retorts. I looked around at our group. My husband was deeply depressed over the paper. He looked like that since he let his GI insurance lapse. One child was on the phone insisting, "I don't believe it," every minute and a half. Another was locked in his room with the stereo on, and the other was staring morosely at the refrigerator, waiting for something to embrace him. You know the trouble with this family? We're not funny. All the other families in the world are sitting around throwing away one-liners and having barrels of laughs. The 6 o'clock news gets more laughs than we do. We've got to get with it, or we'll never get our own series. The next night, I heard my husband's car in the driveway. I shouted, "Hey, gang, here's Daddy." "Well," said our son, "if it isn't our father whose wallet is full of big bills, all unpaid." "What's the matter with you?" asked my husband. "You're on your feet. Has your car been repossessed?" "Dynamite," said our youngest. I almost fell out of the chair. "Hey, Mom," said his son, "what do you get if you take a fender from a Chevy, the chrome from a Ford, and the hubcap from a Pontiac?" I shook my head. 6 months. "A rubber hose up your nose," I said amid my laughter. So, said my husband, I thought you were going to straighten up the house. Why? I said, nudging him in the ribs. Is it tilted? Initially, did you hear Mel? Oh, excuse me. Incidentally, did you hear Mel just got a poodle for his wife? I wish I could make a trade like that. Hey, Dad, said our daughter. The dog just ate Mom's meatloaf. Don't cry, he said. I'll buy you another dog. My mother poked her head around the door. Got any coffee? We all slumped in our chairs, exhausted. Praise God for commercials. She's having quite a time with motherhood. All right. I would love to have you leave me a comment and tell me if you are enjoying this book or if you'd like me to read something else or just tell a story. Anyhow, it's Maria from Still Dreaming Homestead. I want to pray blessings on you and yours, in your house, out of your house, in the day and in the night. Whatever you do, keep dreaming. Good night. God bless you.